servant, role of district collector. So what a district collector should do? These are the goals. This is what a district collector should do. This is what a civil services should do. Right? So when we call them as moral principles, so these are the moral principles which are equally applicable to every public servant, civil services. Alright? So always remember this NPA, very important. Alright? So if you are good in NPA, at least you can write 2 answers in UPSC mains exam. Just by using this content. You can answer 2 questions in mains exam. Right? So these are the goals. These are the goals of NPA. Right? Now that means, right, it is these goals which the scholars of new public administration, it is these goals which the scholars of new public administration want to achieve. At the same time, they also highlighted, alright, the shortcomings of traditional public administration, which we call them as anti-goals, because as Robert T. Golumbiewiczki has used this word anti-goals. So anti-goals nothing but they are the negatives of traditional public administration, shortcomings of traditional public administration. So let us even have a look over this anti-goals given by Robert T. Golumbiewiczki. Alright. So according to Robert T. Golumbiewiczki, new public administration is anti-positivist, anti-technical, anti-bureaucratic, anti-hierarchy. Alright. So anti-positivist, anti-technical, anti-bureaucratic, anti-hierarchical. So you can use any of this. So it is just criticism of traditional public administration. So if you are right, if you know what is traditional public administration, just simply criticize the basic features of traditional public administration. It is just about criticize. Negatives of traditional public administration. So we are using a different term. Either you can use criticisms, right, or also you can use anti-goals, because these are terms that was used by Robert T. Golumbiewiczki. So as Golumbiewiczki has used this term, we are also using, but simply they are criticisms. Simply don't get confused. The scholars of new public administration criticizing the basic features of traditional public administration. Right? Have you got cleared? Right? So it is. Alright. So these are the basic goals. These are the basic goals of basic goals, and let us talk about the anti-goals. Anti-positivist. Alright. Positivism. Alright. Positivism always denotes the structural characters of public administration. Right? Facts or structures or principles. Right? So positivist nature. Already we have seen this positivism given by Herbert Simon in decision making. Application of positivism, logical positivism in decision making, that is using of scientific approach. Scientific approach means what? Alright, it is based upon verifiable facts, observable facts, those facts which can be experimented. Alright, but in public administration, is there any such facts which can be really experimented and where we can see replication of same result? Whether in public administration where it is possible to have a universal facts, it is not possible. So we call it as anti-positivist. That means, can we say that it is anti-scientific? When there are no verifiable facts, in public administration, can we call it as a science or anti-science? Anti-science. When there are no verifiable facts, definitely it is not a science. That is what even Robert Dahl said. Alright. So there is no word of science there, but still I am we are implying this word. By an implication, we can say that as it is anti-positivist, similar, definitely we can also say it as anti-scientific. So scientific nature is not possible in public administration. And don't try to be scientific, because we are dealing with humans, human problems. Alright. So that is what anti-positivism means. Anti-technical. Technical nature of public administration. When it is not factual oriented, when there are no universal principles or facts, and how there can be a technical nature in public administration? Whether it is a technical instrument? No. As if it is some machine, definitely we can call it as technical. But we are dealing with humans, so it is not possible to have what we call a technical character. It cannot be impersonal. PubAd is not impersonal. Right? PubAd is not what you call humanistic. PubAd is not anti-humanistic. It is humanistic. So technical nature. What is the technical nature in public administration? What brings technical nature to public administration? Following the principles, following the structure, following the hierarchy. Right? It is this principle itself brings technical nature. But when we are saying that there is no principles, there is no technical character. So public administration is not technical. Right? It is not hierarchical. So they have criticized NPA, the scholars of new public administration. They were critical about the hierarchical organization of administration. Right? They were totally critical about hierarchical organization of traditional public administration. They don't want hierarchically organized administrators. They don't want hierarchically organized bureaucracy. Right? They don't like this hierarchy. Now, what is the reason for this? Why the scholars of public administration, the scholars of NPA are critical about hierarchy? Why they don't like this hierarchy? What is the reason for this? Because according to them, it is this hierarchy which is the reason for delay. It is this hierarchy which is the reason for non-responsiveness. Because you need to consult your superiors. Every order should come from top boss. Right? You need to follow rules. When all this is done, what about the problems in society? The problem will get aggravated. Right? So you will not, that is bureaucracy or public administrators will not respond in time. There won't be any timely response. The reason is strictly following of these rules and hierarchy. That is the reason why the scholars of public administration, they are critical about this hierarchy. They were critical about this hierarchy and bureaucratic nature of administration. Alright? They are critical about hierarchy and bureaucratic nature of administration. Alright? So these are some of the anti-goals as highlighted by Robert T. Golumbevsky. We have seen goals as well as anti-goals. So don't get confused. Anti-goals are also nothing but criticisms on traditional public administration by the scholars of new public administration. Right? Take the question before moving to the next topic. Explain the goals and anti-goals. Explain the goals and anti-goals. Explain the goals and anti-goals of new public administration. Goals and anti-goals of new public administration. Right? Let us now look at the basic features of new public administration as given by George Fredrickson. Alright, so I was saying it is Dwight Waldo and George Fredrickson who has a much impact on NPA. It is these scholars who has much impact on new public administration. Alright, so according to George Fredrickson, right, change and responsiveness, new public administration NPA is characterized by change and responsive, right. So responsive administration, responsive to the needs and requirements of society. All right, change oriented, rationality, another one, rationality. Now how to measure rationality here? How to measure rationality? Whether by the criteria of principles, efficiency and economy, or by the criteria of fulfilling the needs of people. Alright, how the performance, how the work of administrator should be measured, whether by fulfilling the needs or by efficiency. And in fact, efficiency, effectiveness is always measured in terms of how the needs are being served. So not in terms of monetary factors, right? It is not in terms of cost benefit. It is about how effectively the people are satisfied, the happiness of society, right? Fulfillment of basic needs of society. That is how we should measure the performance. Rationality is measured in terms of satisfaction of society, not in terms of cost benefit, not in terms of monetary things, right? So that is how efficiency is measured, right? Similarly, structural change, alright. So change in the nature of administration. Remember, new public administration is always critical about the structural aspects of public administration. It never accepted, it never encouraged a rigidity in the structure of administration. It always recommended for a flexibility, because rigid structures will never respond to the needs. What is required is flexibility. That means, say for example, rule oriented and hierarchy. Hierarchy and rules itself are hindrances. Now what we require is, we require flexibility in using of rules. We require flexibility in using of principles. So new public administration is characterized by this flexibility in its structural orientation, right? So multidisciplinary perspective. So when we talk about public policy, understanding society, understanding the requirements of people, it requires not just the knowledge of public administration, but also the knowledge of other disciplines, say political science, say sociology, say anthropology, law, economics. So public administration has a multidisciplinary character, right? It has multidisciplinary character where it requires the knowledge of all the disciplines. It requires knowledge of all the disciplines. And it is this knowledge which is essential. It is this knowledge which is essential for fulfilling the needs of people. Alright? So these are the basic characters of new public administration as given by Fredrickson. So even Fredrickson has observed certain changes, alright? Certain changes in new public administration. Say for example, new public administration is more public and less generic, alright? So it is not universal, it is more towards whom? Public, it is about society, alright? It is more prescriptive and less descriptive. That means public administration, PubAd provides effective solution, alright? The theory of public administration provides effective solutions. It provides effective solutions to the needs of people, right? To the requirements of people, right? So it is more prescriptive, right? It is more solution oriented, rather than descriptive. Right? So it is a discipline. Right? PubAd is a discipline where it can influence policy making as well as improve the quality of working of government. Right? In the very beginning, when we have discussed Munich 1 conference, the very first point, the very first concern shown is policy orientation. PubAd is concerned more about public policy and working of government, quality in the working of government. Alright. So public administration, PubAd is more about improving the quality of working. Public administration, alright, it is more what you call people oriented and less institution oriented. It is more people oriented, that is impact on society, impact on citizen rather than institution. Instead of focusing on what institution requires, what organization requires, focus on what people requires. Now instead of focusing on bring out principles, right, focus on how or what should be given to the people, what people need, what is the need of our to the people, education, health, employment, basic needs. Think about them instead of rules, instead of hierarchy. As an administrator, you should have more orientation towards society, right? It is more normative, less neutral and more normative. Normative means what? Values, goal oriented. Normativeness means it is goal orientation. What is a goal? Equity, change, welfare, all these are goals of public administration. It is not neutral to people. It is proactive, right? Public administration is proactive discipline, not a neutral one. So these are the general features. These are the features identified by George Fredrickson. George Fredrickson, right, about new public administration. Alright. Alright, so this is about, so still, right, I can continue, but for now I will stop the class here. So tomorrow within 10 minutes I will complete NPA. Then after we will slowly move towards public choice approach. Alright. So mostly I will talk about tomorrow, I will talk about NPA, public choice approach and the new right philosophy and neoliberalism tomorrow. Alright. So our target is to complete NPA, PCA, right, new right philosophy and neoliberalism. Alright, we will do it. Right, okay, then for now I will stop the class here. Sanguine. That is, sanguine means less scientific. So don't think that though there are no universal applicability, but still there are principles of public administration which have a general application. It is not less scientific. Alright, it is not less scientific. That means what? There is some kind of scientific nature, but not totally scientific. It is not totally scientific or not less scientific. It is in between these two. Alright. So this is about for today's class. For now, I will stop the class here. We will meet in tomorrow's class.